Hello and welcome everyone to the Engineers Ireland episode 2 of the personal branding series. My name is Michael Gallagher. I'm delighted to be joined by some fantastic speakers this evening. We have a great series of presentations coming up on personal branding, and this evening or this episode we are focusing on the specific theme of personal branding in your career, so how it can better help you in your job search or when you're positioning for your next kind of strategic move in your career. I've started up a forum post on the website, so if you want to get involved in the forum or if you want to ask any of our presenters some questions, the link will be below in the description in the recording. So that's a great place to kind of keep involved after the event and to start meeting some people. As a beginner, I just want to pitch our graduate membership to remind you that it's absolutely free if you're graduating this year. It's an opportunity you really shouldn't miss. You can join and get a €280 discount by joining right now. You can do so on our Engineers Ireland website. The link will be in the description as well. If you're already a member and you do want to become a graduate, all you need to do is log into your user profile or your membership profile, and you'll find an option to become a full member. You just click on it and it'll ask you some questions about where you finished up in college, and hey presto, you'll be a brand new graduate member. Some general advice before we begin this personal branding webinar. Just remember to start working towards your next objective, whatever that might be. Perhaps you have your eyes set on a chartered engineer title sometime in the near future. Remember opportunities around the world whenever coronavirus does subside. You have great transferability with your degree. I'm going to talk briefly on CPD, but you should be logging things like this in your CPD hours. And finally, the importance on joining a network. I think our speakers will touch on that whenever they're talking about personal branding, particularly our first speaker, who is the chairperson of the Young Engineers Society Cork. So yeah, on the international recognition, you can get your qualifications recognized with different professional bodies all over the world that we have agreements with, whether it's the Washington Accord or the INEA. So it's a great reason to be a member whenever you do graduate, if you do want to travel overseas. This is a bit about CPD, to say that remember that events like today can be logged as CPD hours, and to remember that all the other things that you're doing in your workplace can also be logged as CPD. So definitely keep on charge or keep on top of logging your CPD. You can do that in your membership profile. And this is an example of what a membership profile shouldn't look like. This is my own, where I have 0 hours of CPD completed for 2021, and I have 35 left to log. So ideally, you should be logging this as you go, and every event like this evening, just keeping it all up to date. And yet, finally, just on that piece around kind of joining a network, there's loads of different regions, divisions, and societies with Engineers Ireland. One that's particularly relevant in your early career is the Young Engineers Society. And the speaker who I'm about to hand over to, John Smith, is the chairperson of the Cork Region Young Engineers Society. So it's actually kind of, there's elements of regions and societies being touched on in this next presentation, all under the guise of personal branding. So I guess without further ado, I'm absolutely delighted to hand it over to John Smith. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but just to say that John is obviously now in a leadership position in the Cork region, and I know he has a really exciting year of engagement for all of the members down there, and he's been a speaker for us in the past, and he will be a speaker in the future. So John, over to you.
Thanks very much, Michal. So what I'll do now is I'll just share screen because I have a short enough presentation, folks, that I might just go through to help in what I talk about and a few bits on that. And then I'll be around as well for questions later if there is anything. So look, I just want to say thanks as well to Michal and Engineers Ireland for organising this and for inviting me to speak just on personal branding. I think it's an important issue, but one that is not really talked about a lot, and something that we can definitely develop on as engineers and people. And look, as Michal said there, my name is John Smith. I'm a energy mechanical engineer in Arup, and I was the PRO of the Young Engineer Society and recently became the chairperson for this year. So, but I have a bit more on that. Just quickly about the presentation today, I'll be talking a small bit about myself and then my personal brand and image, the Young Engineer Society in Cork, and branding it and myself. The part that I did when I was PRO, and parts when I would of myself and decided on how it helped myself branding. And then Arup, the company that I work for, and the branding that they do, because that's actually it's quite important to them. And then just some final words to close off. So just a little bit more about me, that I have my bachelor's in energy engineering from UCC. So I've been around in Cork for a while. I did get my master's in WIT, so took a small bit of break from Cork and did a bit of work while I was doing that as an energy auditor and renewables engineer with Three Counties Energy Agency. But I swiftly came back to Cork then as a mechanical design engineer with ARP in Cork. But my focus has been mainly on sustainable buildings, energy and mechanical design. So I'm kind of a mix of an energy mechanical engineer now. And you can kind of see, and I try to show that in my career progression, that that was something I was always interested in, and I branded that, or I imaged that, and I brought that out there, and that's how it's kind of led me into that area of coming in as mechanical design engineer. And I'm nearly under the title now of I'm energy/mechanical, and I will be moving into a new title in the energy or sustainable sphere, just based on how I've perceived my work and look forward. I'm also, yeah, as I mentioned, the Young Engineer Society Cork, or YES, Cork chairperson and the former PRO. And then I've also just the 2020 winner of the CIBSE Kendale Awards, which is something I'm going to talk a small bit more. No, I won't mention too much the award, but the fact that once you have something like this, I think it's something that you should promote, because it improves yourself, the image of societies and the different things, and it gets it out there. So I talk a small bit more about that later, but just about me and my personal brand. So LinkedIn is my main personal branding tool, and it's kind of my way to interface or present the best image of myself in a professional environment. So obviously there's the face-to-face, which has been a lot less due to COVID these days, and I still try, and if I'm going into a presentation, especially with a client I work with, to still put on a shirt, even though I know on warm days like this it's a lot easier to have the shorts and the t-shirt on. But LinkedIn is definitely a main way, and to be consistent and have a long-standing approach that's out there and consistently there in case someone does want to look you up afterwards. And a point I was bringing up earlier on is about, don't be afraid to post on LinkedIn, but also don't be afraid to boast. So if you do end up winning an award, or even going further, even a smaller achievement, it is your career, and any achievement deserves recognition, and it also shows your positive approach to your career and how you're trying to improve it. So I would be definitely encouraged to be posting on LinkedIn, or even just being involved or liking different things to show activity. But always just to remember to keep it professional, though. It's not Facebook or your blog, so it doesn't need to go into that much detail. But inside your professional sphere, I think it's important to use LinkedIn and to build that network. Just a bit more on that is, again, careful on the social media sites, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, just for your own personal self. Because it's something that you see a bit more out there, and I think it's a higher number now, but 44% and growing of employers will actually screen you before employment, and that's done online. There's a lot of different tools that you can actually take and use, and I don't think to check you out, but there's actually some helpful stuff that you can actually check for yourself. But yeah, I mean, like, it's as simple as going in, logging into your accounts and going down through it and having either your privacy levels up, but also checking what posts and different things are in there. Because so you go back, and there's actually a website called brandyourself.com that you can actually use and go up and through. And I went through and look and used it there weekly, and seeing it brought up a few different things. Now it is, you need to go further if there's a paywall, obviously, if you want to go further, but it can just give you a general idea or some issues that you think you might need to look up on. So it's just a useful website to even just get an idea and to check yourself. But that's brandyourself.com. So in terms of the Young Engineer Society, or YES Cork, look, just that there's we've a very technical thing of under the committee of being a committee of Institute of Engineers Ireland and all that. But look, pretty much we are like actually I think I talk a bit better as so pretty much we are like a post-college engineering society, but now underneath us we are like we are a post-college engineering society, but now underneath the Engineers Ireland flag. So rather being under UCC or CIT or whatever college you went to, and we kind of hold events geared towards young engineers in the students' graduate phase or even the chartership phase of their careers. And as part of the Young Engineer Society, we use LinkedIn and social media to promote our brand and to connect with our other members. And it's actually, LinkedIn has turned out to be an important part of it, as we set up a group, and I promoted or plug it later on. If you do want to join, feel free. And there's the different regions have their own groups and different there's higher up level ones as well, so feel free to check it out. But we also do open events like Engineers Week, or some Engineers Week events that build our brands with the public, and they also provide some nice photo ops for the members. So there's one there myself that featured in a couple of papers of myself at the family fun day. I used actually an Arab VR system, and it was a big hit with the different people at the events, and it ended up being posted around. So that was good for both myself and for Young Engineer Society Cork. Also, look, committee membership can also help differentiate yourself from potential employers, especially look on your CV, and it's a difference on your CV, but you can talk about it more as you promote and you go through it, and it's a different kind of platform. So just a couple of examples, even there is on the left, you can see a Cork Echo article on a Yes member, Quiva, and she's a civil engineer, and they actually just did an article on, I think it was Women's in Engineering Day around then as well, but that was some great branding and promotion that I put out there for herself and looked very well. She was able to share across her own personal branding networks as well. And there, just down below, is just my own Meet the Committee poster from the Yes Social Media campaign, which is out there now. And if you can Google her, it's something that will come up different times, and you can see it on different pages. But if you go now looking for me and different things, it's just a nice thing to have out there, and it is a positive approach to the different things that you do. And it was also something that I was able to talk about and bring up in that if a different employer or different people even that you meet at different networks kind of just seem to maybe recognize you're involved in that. So it's always a help. In terms of branding and ARP, so ARP is a engineering consultancy which I work for, and ARP does take branding quite seriously. ARP is an outward-facing firm focused on taking a cohesive, consistent message to the world. So look, it just means that ARP have had a few different, even it might look the same, but there's actually that ARP brand or that logo has changed a couple of different times, and sometimes we even get told how I'm using the old logo on drawings or different things that we send out. But it's important that they have a consistent message, so we need to keep that up to date, and how we represent ARP is important too. But to ARP, our name is the foundation of our identity, our purpose, and our reputation. So it just tells you a small bit more as to how important it is to such a professional company, and they're a big employer of graduates, and as part of the Young Engineer Society, actually they're our largest employer of members. So it's just the importance. So big employers, and to a lot of people it is important. So not only just your personal brands, but ARP is a purpose-driven brand, and they've subscribed to these 6 Ps, which is purpose, about what we stand for and what drives them, and the promise of committing to align to everything. Their purpose, there's proposition, how our expertise, services, solutions are shaped by the client's needs. There's people, which is their approach to well-being, inclusion, safety, that kind of thing. Processes on how we operate and how we are organized, and then the performance, which is like just the measurement of the progress towards all of these elements before. So this is just how ARP, they use the alliteration, the 6 Ps, to kind of help us understand about their branding and how they bring it forward. But different companies have different strategies, but you can just see that's just one way of looking at it, and you can actually look that up. I'm sure they have articles and different things out there, but the different strategies, if you think you might need help, or even just look up and talk to your own employer if you are a graduate yet, or even if you're looking it up, it might be a good thing to look up beforehand as well, and see how they like the brands, and show that you know about that and how you would represent them is a good way to approach an interview, or if you did have one. So look, just some quick final words then. It's not vital to have the perfect brand or image early in your career. I know a lot of people here are graduates, but it definitely can help. Not only can it can help guide you and the others that see you in the direction that you want to go, which is nearly helpful for me, in that I was pushing the different sustainability and the different areas, and that's the area that I work in now. Check your own personal brand image online, and your social media accounts. Like 44% of employers will screen you, so if you can check out, brand yourself if you need help. And there's plenty of other ones as well, but that's just one that I use, that it's a good way to check it out. But you can just go into your own thing and just be smart on privacy, and brand yourself will go through not only social media, but they look at actually your privacy of things, and also with Google searches and these kind of things. So it is just something to check out. Membership of an engineering or other societies can actually be a big boost to both you and their brand and image. So it's just something to consider. It's not just all about the society and the other events and things that people do, but it can actually be a boost to how you present yourself, and again to the society themselves. And that's just one final note, that your employer company's brand is important to them as your brand is to you. So look, just make sure to check up on any of their brand strategies and their guidelines, especially if you are coming into the company or at the start. I think it's important, especially for some companies. So thank you. Just if you want to check out Yes Cork or any of the young engineer sites in Dublin, and there's one in Thomans, but we represent a few. Just check it out on social media. My LinkedIn is linked there as well, but it is just John Smith 95. There's a few John Smiths out there, so it's no bit different. And also ARP does have graduate careers and programs, so I just said I give them a plug there too. And there's a link there, but you could Google it easy enough. So other than that, I'll just say thank you.
And thank you very much, John. That was an excellent presentation. And just to say that even in past occasions, when you spoke at our career as a consulting engineer, you've represented yourself and your employer so well. And I think your personal brand is so strong that internally I've had to stop using John Smith as an example, like kind of generic name. And I've moved to Jane Doe because there's actually, a John Smith there who's quite a big brand down in Cork. So I can't just, it can lead to some confusion. So I'd love to now hand it over to John Murphy from Morgan McKinley. And again, John's going to talk us through some personal branding tips, but this time with a more kind of focus around the employment piece and how it can be so vital in your early career, and then kind of touching on some other early career personal branding things. So John, I'm happy to hand it over to you.
Brilliant. Thanks for the pan anyway to present here. Just to even give a bit of background about myself. So I'm an engineering recruitment consultant with Morgan McKinley. I started here just over 2.5 years ago now. So I did a marketing degree for my master's. So a bit different again, as a background, I'm not an engineer. And even with us, when you do speak to the vast majority of our consultants in here, we might not be on our team itself. For example, we've 8 to 10 people depending on what area you're looking at there as well per team. And the engineering team, there's one person with an engineering degree on our team, but the training we receive, we're consultants in that area. We know the market, we know our clients, and we know the candidate then as well. So the big part for us as well is to get to know the candidate out there looking for that role. As I said myself, I have a marketing background. So part of my master's was I did 6 months in college and then 6 months placement while I was doing my thesis. So I stayed on with Morgan McKinley then. Just to give a bit of background then into ourselves. So we're a privately owned global company established in 1988. So our headquarters are in Cork. We're located in 9 different countries. 5 of them happen to be in Ireland. So we're located in Cork, Limerick, Galway, Waterford, and Dublin. So we do have a good reach across the country there again. Same with our desk here in engineering. We have a national desk. All of us are based in Cork, but we would be, I suppose the lucky thing about working for Morgan McKinley, we can base ourselves out of a different office, depending on the day itself. Again, the specialist areas are all covered there. In Ireland alone, we have 300 employees and then 2,300 contract staff that would be on site and across our different clients. Just kind of focusing in on our own engineering recruitment team. We are a market leader. We would like to think we're a market leader in engineering recruitment. Again, we have 10 consultants working across the engineering team, and with that as well, we also have 2 more consultants then as well. We have them on our supply chain team, so there will be a good crossover there as well. We're all specialized consultants as well within that. And then again, our new construction team are building up their own network there as well. They're just over 12 months old, so good that they have 3 consultants kind of working in that area. Again, for ourselves, going back to that specialist area, we have quality validation, R&D, process manufacturing, automation, and they're all listed there as well. For myself, I would specialize just in project process automation and manufacturing recruitment, and I cover just the Cork and the west of Ireland. Again, we have another consultant on our team who will cover the Leinster area, so we are very specialized there as well. As you can see, you have a couple of different companies listed there as well. With the likes of within the food industry or medical device, life sciences. You've got Pfizer, Hovione, Amgen, BD Medical, and a couple of more there now as well within that medical device area or within that life sciences area. Our nationwide presence, again, we do have that unique ability to anticipate any recruitment trends as well, and I can go into that a bit more detail now as well after this. I suppose we do see the same trends over and over again. So, summertime as well does tend to be that bit of a quieter period. Now, again, predicting these trends over the last 12 months or so has been a lot more difficult. But we do kind of see those busy times where different areas might become busier. We would see the food industry become a lot busier at the start of the year, and then that'll quieten down in the summertime as well, just as I guess a supply chain might pick up. So we are able to predict that area, and just the fact that we're able to specialize in certain, as I said, with me, it's manufacturing, process, project automation. I do get to get that insight into specialist areas. I get to spend more time looking into those places. Just some quotes there as well so we do work very closely with the IDA, and we do have, again, as I mentioned, those staff that we have contracted on site. We do have consultants then as well who would work as part of, IDA Ireland there as well. So just the biopharmaceutical industry, they have made a capital investment of $8 billion in new facilities in Ireland, mostly which have come in the last 10 years or so. Again, biopharmaceutical, looking at the last 12 months, I'd say that's probably gone even higher now again. Those figures might not be out just yet, and I would say over the next 12 months, it's probably a good, strong area as well. I decided to put data center industry into that as well. I guess, you look back maybe 15, 20 years ago, medical device was huge in Ireland. Everyone wanted to get into medical device. What the trend, I guess it's one of the things we've seen over the last maybe, again, 12 months or so, is the data center industry. So you have the likes of Facebook, Twitter, and even now TikTok as well, who are, a new enough company around the world really, but they are setting up their own data center in Ireland as well. And it's just one of those new industries it's becoming more interesting to the people to move into as well. So that is where we are seeing a lot of market growth. I think if you drive from, up around the north side of Dublin there as well, and head out towards kind of Meath direction, you will see a lot of data centers and new buildings being built out there as well. That seems to be a big hub there as well. So you will see a lot more, I guess, more opportunities in that area if that's of interest to anyone there. Again, that's something we can look into going forward too. Just some more on, I guess, on the market growth for ourselves as well. So looking at here, so 94% of employers believe that there's a shortage of experienced engineers with the right skills. And then just moving on again, so 79% believe there's a shortage of engineering graduates, and 36% believe that there's difficulties getting work permits and visas. Again, just I've even kind of a couple of notes on that as well. So on the visa situation as well, and it's a question we get asked on a daily basis by multiple candidates. What is the situation with visas in Ireland right now? Luckily enough, I guess it's, if you want to say a positive to come out of COVID, everything has gone online, so it has sped up a couple of processes on that side. So if there are any graduates, here tonight that will be looking to get maybe a permanent visa after a couple of years, get your graduate visa now. Everything has moved online. You might have seen that already. It will speed things up a little bit there as well. And we're relaying those messages back onto, our own clients as well on our side. We're able to, speak to them and say everything's gone online. Sponsorship isn't as much of a problem anymore. So that is definitely, hopefully we're getting that percentage, a lot lower right now. We'd love to speak to those clients again and see what the situation is there. 79% again, just go back up again, 79% of our clients believe there's a shortage of engineering graduates. Definitely within that, and it's a message, I suppose, that percentage is probably a little bit misleading, because the point is, when we get a job description from a client, they'll look for someone to match the exact job description. As John mentioned earlier on, you can't really get it perfect, whether that's personal branding or whether it's on a job description. You're not going to get the perfect candidate. So again, with that, having that degree, obviously it's a big help there as well. But I wouldn't worry that, if you have a certain, whether it's in mechanical, electronic, or electrical, or any chemical engineering background, I wouldn't worry about going for a certain job just because your I guess your learnings from your education say differently. We do see a lot of mix and match as well, and with that as well, you have companies, you might go in on one role, but there are, I guess, what they're hoping to do is train you maybe into a different area. Again, I can move on to my next point here. Like, what their response to doing that is, the upskilling. So I guess the main point there is the upskilling on employees. And another conversation we have as well is, you will see, multinationals will look for that level 8, the honors bachelor's degree, for someone to move into a role with them. Again, it's, speaking to a lot of graduates here tonight, when you're leaving school, the main aim is to get into that university. When you're, you really want to get into that level 8 straight away. That's not how it always works out. You might have to go into, into a PLC course, go into level 6, level 7, work your way up and through your education. The real world is the exact same again, and I would definitely say that, we do see a lot of multinationals especially as well. So as I said, they would look for people with that level 8, but you can go in at that lower level, as in start start off at that technician level type position, and we try to push that forward as well. So if you're finished at level 7 and you're trying to move on from that there, what we would say is, have a look at maybe even say a technician level role, because you will see a lot of those multinationals invest in their own employees, because like these days, you with social media, and I'll get into that as well, it's a lot easier for people to make that move from one company to the next. I think that area of having a job for life is definitely, it doesn't really exist anymore. You do have people coming in, might stay in the company 3-4 years, get good experience and move on. So the way that they want to counteract that as well is by investing in their own employees. So if you get a technician who really wants to move up to an engineering level type position, they will invest in that person, obviously put the work in, and then invest in it there as well. So I would say, don't worry about maybe getting that perfect role straight away. If you aim for those lower levels. And what we do find as well, again, moving away from that multinational level, companies like maybe suppliers to these multinationals, they're very good companies, because you will get exposure to multiple, say the likes of a Boston Scientific, a Stryker, or any one of those big medical device companies, just for example. They do have smaller suppliers as well for them, and you will get great exposure to companies like that. So if you do make that attempt to get into those big places where they're getting thousands of applications, I wouldn't worry too much. Maybe have a look at their suppliers, or any smaller companies that would work in line with them. We do work with a lot of those companies as well, and we like working with them, because you're dealing with the person who's making the decision at the end of the day, and they're able to tell you exactly about the role, how they want to develop the person in there as well. And when they're a smaller company, you will get to know everyone in there, and they will want to upskill their own employees there as well. Again, just on the other couple of points that are in it, so just to do with educational institutions, as John mentioned as well, there are companies the likes of ARP who do work with UCC, and you do have a lot of other companies who do the same as well. So offering graduate programs, have a look into those as well, and definitely it will pay off on that side of things. Again, on the foreign talent side, I guess what we would say here is we would like to use people coming from as in Engineers Ireland. We would like to have our own local people look in there as well, but that is how companies are looking as well. So if you are a graduate coming from abroad, or if you're a graduate who went to college away and looking to come home again, companies are looking to do that as well, and they're taking necessary steps in supporting engineers in coming home. So a lot of them will bring in, a lot of companies and clients we work with will bring in those relocation packages and that types of things as well. So that's attracting people from abroad too. Just going to move on to, I suppose, more into that personal branding space as well. I just have the 11 headlines there as well that you would need on LinkedIn. If I was to pick a couple out from this, and the most important ones as well, I would definitely look at your photo, keywords, and on top of that as well, I would put in your summary as well. And what I mean by that is, so I'll just click onto the next one as well, the photo, and I'm just going to touch on that, I suppose, just as much as I can there. The photo is very important. So what we would say here is, it's just the, I guess, statistics we took from LinkedIn. Profiles with no photo got 14 less views. Again, with that, for the likes of, I guess myself being a recruitment consultant, or an internal hiring manager, or anything like that, they will, I guess it's just having that face to know who you're messaging as well. It seems obvious, but it's definitely something, I would absolutely have the photo there as well. Just a couple of tips on that as well. So, must be work appropriate. So again, as John would have mentioned, have that. It doesn't need to be a professional photo that was taken, anything like that, but wear a shirt, or wear some business casual, anything like that as well. Obviously the big one there as well would be have a smile, be personal as much as you can in the picture. So pictures can tell 1,000 words as well sometimes. Again, as I saw John mentioned, LinkedIn is not Facebook as well a while ago, and I do want to reiterate that point as well. I guess I have seen it, because again, same as John, LinkedIn it's what I open up. It's the first thing I open up every morning when I come into work, because all my messaging is done on it, and my sourcing for candidates, a lot of it is done on LinkedIn right now. And what we have seen over the last couple of years or so is just, it has crept in that LinkedIn is becoming a little bit less formal now, which is it's good in some sense. But what we do see, all right, and it's, I guess, not out of conscious effort or anything like that, but you don't want to see someone maybe making controversial comments, definitely on that side. So it is very much a professional platform on that side of things, and hiring managers will look out for that. As again, going back to John's points as well of, they will do their research on LinkedIn first of all, because it's probably the easiest one to access, and then they'll go through Facebook, Twitter, all that side of it as well. But it's definitely not Facebook. So do's and don'ts, I would say, for your picture, dress business casual, smile, have that plain background as well. The plain background is probably a big part of that. Just so at least it's, if there's nothing there that you might think is fine, but someone else could have a different opinion. So that plain background, and then don't, again, don't have many people in your picture. Again, an obvious one, don't have a picture from a night out, anything like that. We have seen a few of them like that as well. They might look good for Facebook, they definitely won't look good for LinkedIn. Again, the picture, as I said, don't have it blank, but don't have a picture of, your favorite soccer player or a cartoon, anything like that either. They'll come across as spam profiles, anything like that we might see. Again, it's just more about having a face to a name, and that's the biggest thing about it. Just, I have my own LinkedIn here now as well, so you'll see. Again, as I mentioned, the summary is very important as well, and by summary, I even mean just under my own name here as well. So, manufacturing project process recruitment consultant in Morgan McKinley. Within that as well, so I guess a lot of what we do on LinkedIn is keyword searching. And within that, so if I'm looking for a manufacturing engineer, a project engineer, or a process engineer, that's exactly what the first couple of titles I'm going to put in my search. So, having that just under your name is the first thing I'll see when I come across your profile. And then on that as well, so I have 500 plus connections circled there as well in the presentation. With that, no, not all recruitment consultants, but you will have some agencies. If they see that you have, 10, 15 connections in total on LinkedIn, they might have a quick look and say, this person's not really using their LinkedIn, so I won't bother sending them a message about this job. I would definitely get as many connections as you possibly can. Obviously, keep it as local as you can as well. But once you start getting into the dozens, into the hundreds as well, that's very important as well, because as I said, not every recruitment consultant will do it. If I was to see someone with one connection, I'll take a chance. I'll send a message. Again, just to push on that side of it as well, I would go into the activity section again. So keep your LinkedIn active. You don't have to post all the time. Put pictures up or put posts up about your own job. If you are on the lookout for a new role, if you're not working currently, definitely, put up a post every now and again, just hi everyone, just letting you know I am open for a new role, and then get your friends to like it and get them to share it as well for you. But on the activity side, so if we see that you're active on your LinkedIn, just liking posts, excuse me, or commenting on posts as well, we'll see that you are active, and we would straight away. So we might come to you and say, or say we might be looking for you, and this role that we could have on right now, we need to get CVs over, straight away. So we'll see this person has used their LinkedIn today, yesterday, or within the last week or so. We'll say this person's going to be active. I'll send them a message quickly. Hopefully they'll come back to me anyway on that as well. So definitely keep your LinkedIn as active as possible. And then just even, I suppose, kind of going into that again, as I said, the summary, so MSc graduate seeking science position to begin my career, or graduate working towards leading biotechnology company. Again, that's just short and sweet. Keep it to the point. As I mentioned, that keyword search, those words will come up in it for us. If you need ideas, have a look at my own profile there. Again, I would like to think I have it filled out some bit anyway as well. But check out, I suppose, if you are looking for a company, or if you wanted to go work in a company, I would say have a look at the hiring managers in there. Look up senior engineer within a certain company, and look at their LinkedIn, see what it's like, because then that'll like for like will attract there as well. And then or if you're already working, look at your recent or your own colleagues. I just have I suppose on mine here as well, again, my job title as well. So what we do see a lot is people will put in their job title. So again, I have recruitment consultant, engineering. Now, we do see it a lot, but there will be nothing else underneath it. I would definitely, again, it's it's short and sweet, it's to the point, it's exactly what I do within my role. I'm a manufacturing process project engineering recruitment consultant for Morgan McKinley within Munster and Connacht. And again, you can see the rest of it there as well. I've just broken down our team underneath it. It's a bit of an introduction to the company. I would definitely do that. So treat it like your CV. You have your job title, you have the time you've spent working there, and you have your duties underneath it. Whether it's in bullet point format or in a paragraph like this for LinkedIn, it doesn't really matter. You can make it as detailed as your CV, a little bit less, or you can even put more detail again, just to bulk up your own LinkedIn. We would always look for a bit more specific detail. As I said, keyword search, and I'm going to keep saying it as well, because the more words you have in your LinkedIn, the more you're going to come up in a search for a recruitment consultant or a hiring manager making that search on LinkedIn. Again, just to push on that for education, it's similar enough. Again, put the modules you might have done. So this is more so for graduates maybe who are looking for their first role out of college. I would put in the relevant modules, or even all your modules. Really, you have the room to do it on LinkedIn. I would put in every module you would have done in college that you think would be relevant for the type of career that you're looking for. Keyword search, again, we start looking for people with process experience who would have worked on projects in college. I would start putting that into your own LinkedIn as well. Again, any projects you would have worked on in college will make a big difference as well to in your achievement section. So what you would have done, what key part you played in that project. It will start coming up for us as well. So the more information you can add to your LinkedIn, the better it is for you, and the better chance you have of being selected out of a large pool of millions of people across LinkedIn. I guess on this as well. So just be smart about it. It's like just list the jobs you've held. Again, I'm just going to go over the last couple of points as well. Have a brief description of what you would have done. You can choose as well to make it more or less detailed as your CV. Again, think broadly about that experience that you have. Again, speaking to the new graduates on this as well, have that volunteer experience as well. So, anything that would have been important to you, I think the likes of, if you keep thinking of CSR, so corporate social responsibility, you look at the big tech companies, likes of Facebook, Google, Apple, any one of those, they're big into CSR. And if they would have seen a graduate that, has some bit of experience or some bit of volunteer experience previously, and when they've done some charity work, anything like that, they are big on that. So they will have I guess an eye on that as well on your LinkedIn. I guess on that side of things as well, they definitely will. They'll have a look for it. They won't be looking for the experience for graduate roles, so they will look at other areas of your LinkedIn. So they will be looking for, as I said, the volunteer experience, anything you would have done on that side. As I mentioned, I just keep going on that point as well. Don't have a lot of work experience. So again, prize or recognition, the honors you would have had in college. Again, list your languages, your classes, certifications, or any of those projects. Basically, build that network, or build on that strong network that you would have had. So again, I guess this is more so on the bottom of your LinkedIn, where you would have people, I would say, praising you for the work you would have done. So have people look at your LinkedIn, and get them to recognize the work you would have done as well. So add those comments at the bottom. Get references from people as well. Add them into it, and they will make a big difference as well on that. Just moving into, I guess, more on the CV side of things. Again, personal branding. No, this is a sample CV, and if anyone does want to take a sample CV from us, again, there's no problem. This is the one we have on file for us here. Again, no, I don't have a mechanical engineering degree, unfortunately, but that is the way we would line it up there as well. It's short and sweet. It's to the point. You have if you're a design engineer here, for example, you have the type of softwares you would have used, whether it's SolidWorks, Inventor, CAD, any kind of CAD platform there. The programming you would have used, your own languages. No languages here. Again, it could be programming languages, or it can be actual languages I put in here, and the type of ISO background you would have had, so the type of regulations you would have worked at previously. Again, bullet points is always the best for a CV. As I mentioned earlier, for LinkedIn, you can have that paragraph and let it go through on that side. But what I would say here, all right, is for your CV, put it into bullet point format. Now, the bullet points can be 2 lines long. There's no problem with that, but it is the best. I would say for graduates, and I know you're always told it in college, so definitely for the graduate side, that 2-page rule probably is more relevant here. I would say for anyone that would have 5-10 years experience, it's very hard to fit 2 pages, if fit everything into 2 pages. So we would every single day we get CVs here who are 3, 4, 5 pages long. That's no problem. But I would say for a graduate, keep it concise, keep it neat and tidy, and definitely keep it to 2 pages there. Again, the 2 most important parts of we would see for a presentation, or sorry, for a CV, would be the content. So is what you say, and then the presentation is how you say it. So even just on that, so the content itself, have that personal profile at the very top of your CV. It's a very quick summary of your skills, your characteristics, and then under each job, again, as I said it, you have your month, your year, when you started that, and then just include a small summary of your responsibilities, achievements under each role. The bullet points is probably the best way to do it. It stops you from rambling on, and it just gets straight to the point there as well. Keep the content simple and factual. Include an appropriate email as well on the CV. That's, we would be surprised the amount of CVs we get in with no contact details on them, and that's where I guess we're lucky enough we have LinkedIn. We're able to find the person on LinkedIn. We will message them, but absolutely make sure you have a CV with an email and with a contact number on it. They're the most important. Again, I will put a link to your LinkedIn on your CV as well if you haven't done so already. Again, obvious one, don't lie, because it will be figured out eventually. It might not be figured out by us in a first round interview, but you go into a role and you've said you can do something you can't. It does happen. It can happen. And then what I would say, so what I mean by don't write in the first or third person. So I wouldn't say I did this, I did that, and I wouldn't say John did this, John did that. I would just put down, again, factual information. So what you would have done in the role, or what you would have done in college, anything like that. Just put it down straight to the point. Again, by taking out the I's and the Johns, it will shorten down. It'll stop you from rambling. It'll let you fit more information onto the CV. The presentation itself, again, what we look for as well, and it's a very important thing. So I know maybe if you're a graphic designer or anything like that, I would probably go all out and definitely put in the big fancy CV and, get things placed in all different areas, speech bubbles, all that sort of thing. You're trying to impress on that side. But I would say for anything else outside of that, I would go keep it very, very simple, very straightforward. And the reason behind that is I would speak from my own personal experience. So I could come in the morning, I could have 50 CVs in front of me across maybe 10 different jobs, and I would be looking at all of them. And the easiest way for us to look at them, when everything is very similar, it's all in, a similar place. No, the font doesn't have to be exact same, but the layout, keep it very simple. So we don't want to be going, I wouldn't be looking at graphic designer CVs myself. But if one came in that format, it does kind of throw you off your rhythm and you might miss a couple of things on it. So I would say, unless you're a graphic designer, definitely, keep it simple on that side of things. So again, everything is there. The font is there, the simplicity, the fancy backgrounds, passport photos, pictures, it just doesn't work for us. Again, send it in a PDF format. So then that way, no one can touch your CV, no one can move things around, or else it's very difficult to do so. So definitely send it in a PDF format as well, so at least it's there in the way you want it. Headers and footers are not essential for any roles like that. Again, as I said, they'll just clutter the page. It'll take up space for you, and it'll leave out relevant information then as well. Tables on that side, so you would have seen the other CV, the sample CV that I had on my presentation. A very simple table at the very start. That'll be kind of it, really. Again, for us, if there's too many tables down there, so a lot of our clients, especially for us, so how we work is we will get your CV. And even if you do want to send it in that fancy format, we'll end up just changing it anyway, make it as simple as possible for our clients going forward as well. So there is no need to do that. So again, we will change it around a small bit. We'll just make it look very simple for our clients. We know the way our clients like to read CVs, and we'll always do that again. Again, the obvious one, check the spelling. That's always very important there. Again, if it's coming in through the likes of us, we will do our best to help you with the spelling anyway as well, if that's a problem on that side. But always just, have your dictionary turned on. Again, just as preparation, just for an interview, and it's just the last section I have here anyway as well. Again, for any graduates, you're going to your first interview as well. It is your chance to sell yourself. Again, personal branding. It's a time to boast, and I think for Irish people, definitely, we don't boast enough. We're very, I guess, we do shy away from doing that side of things. Don't want to come across as cocky. No, again, you don't want to go into that area either. But definitely, if you have achievements, if they're factual, talk about them and go into them. Don't shy away. Now's your time to be confident, as it says here, and be assertive about discussing your experience. Again, go into that, and I'll talk about it as well in a different method that we use for interviewing. Stick to that relevant information for the if you're going to a certain role, they want to hear about how you're relevant for it. You might only have 30 minutes to talk about yourself, so definitely keep it relevant to the job description on that side as well. Again, show them you want the job. Do your research in the background. Have your information ready on the company, have it ready on yourself as well, and show them that you really do want to be part of that. Again, and just to kind of go forward from that point. Understand the job description. So basically, go through their website, go through the job description that you were given for the position, and know it off by heart. Again, know your CV again in the same way. You have to know it back and forth. The companies will, any questions they ask you, whatever way they word it, they're just looking at your CV, and they're looking for you to basically read off your CV in front of them without having it yourself. Again, I won't go through all the bullet points here, but what I would say, all right, is, it is very important here, and it's just mentioned it towards the bottom. Prepare for competency-based questions, using the STAR method, and I do have that just on the next one as well. Just a couple more reliable tips on that as well. So be punctual. Know the time and date, exact location of the interview. Again, location could be your bedroom these days. On your laptop, whatever it is there, but just try sign on maybe 5-10 minutes early. So try be 10 minutes early if you can, but then I just put in not to be too early. So again, you might think it's a good thing to show up 20 minutes before your interview, but what you're actually doing is the hiring manager or whoever you're meeting has gotten the information that you've arrived 20 minutes early for the interview. Now you're putting them under pressure. They're running around to try get everything in line for you. So I would say 10 minutes is absolutely loads. If you're rushing to get there and you think you're 7 or 8 minutes isn't enough time, it is loads. 5-10 minutes before the interview, arrive in, sit down, because then at least when you're sitting down, what you're doing is you're thinking about the interview. You're overthinking everything. So don't be there too early either on that side of things. Again, obvious ones, know who you're meeting. Sometimes that can be difficult, but I guess using the likes of ourselves here, Morgan McKinley, we will be able to get the information. What we will do is we'll get a profile together of the person you're meeting, and we will get as much information as we can to you about who you are meeting, their title, their phone number, everything like that. again, what we would say, it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed in an interview. So even if you're going to be going to a company where you're wearing just a sweater and jeans all day every day, going into the interview, I would wear a full business suit or business casual at the very least. It is normally business casual, shirt and a pants, but I would, it's better to be overdressed. If you're unsure, put on the jacket, put on the tie, and at least with that, again, be well groomed and that side of things. I guess companies are a little bit less strict on that right now, but always play it safe on that side of things. Again, obvious one, switch off your mobile phone, leave it in the car if possible, leave it out of the room if you're doing a virtual interview. Concentrate on maintaining eye contact as well throughout the meeting, and just be aware of your body language. So again, what we would say, if you're in a room with 3 different people, I would say maybe every 5 to 10 seconds, switch the person you're looking at. And get the way to practice that as well is, it might sound maybe a bit of a silly tip, but if you get dolls, action figures, whatever you can, sit in your room and just talk to each one of them as you're going through. So we would always say, use a mirror to practice your interviews on that. Again, use anything you have in your house, to practice your eye contact on that side of things as well. It is very important, because we do get feedback from clients as well saying, the candidate only spoke to one person in the entire interview. They didn't even look at the other 2 people in the room, and we do get that feedback a lot. So it is good to practice that side of things too. My final slide here anyway as well is just on the STAR technique, I guess, for any graduates or experienced people who would have done interviews previously. The STAR technique, even for me coming out of college, just I guess over 2.5 years ago now, it's probably the biggest thing I took away from any careers perspective, anything like that, because coming into my career now as well, I still look out for the STAR technique. Anytime I talk to, I could be talking to a dozen candidates in a day, and it's the thing I look out for the most: the situation, task, action, result. And again, that's just going through. So, put yourself into a situation. And by what we mean by that is have plenty of examples ready, so they could ask you a question. For example, tell me about a time you were stressed at work. So have an example like that ready. It could have been a time when people were out of work sick, when you were covering for someone else, a breakdown on a manufacturing line, anything like that. Go through the task. So what was the required achievement there as well? Again, I'm not going to go through it in full. What I would say is, if anyone does want a bit of practice on that side of things, I would definitely, we're happy to have a chat with you anyway on that. You can contact us on it. Again, from a personal branding point of view there as well, this is, I guess, it's probably the most important part of the interview as well, because if you come with plenty of examples, the personal branding side is they'll think about that person who came in with a lot of real life examples on that side of it. They could interview 4 or 5 people at a time, and the person that's going to stick out to them is someone who came in and said, we asked them a question again on that: have you ever been stressed at work? And they came up with plenty of examples of it, and the most important of that is they had plenty of results to go with it. So the bottom line is always the most important there. But yeah, look, if as I mentioned, we're happy to have a word with anyone here as well. I would definitely say, if you want to have a look at my LinkedIn, reach out to me there on my side. About how to maybe improve your own LinkedIn, or improve your own your CV, or whether it's in an interview, how to just get your own brand across to companies on that side. We're happy to help here. But no, thanks very much for your time anyway. And look, if you've any questions.